of High and Outside, an irreverent sports ball podcast. I'm Oz, and as always, I'm joined by the only MC in KC that drives a wagon. It's MC Commish.
Damn right.
Please check us out on social media at AOK Worldwide on Twitter. All of our episodes are on iTunes and Spotify, so you can find them there. Please subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes and Spotify. We'd really appreciate it. We also have a domain, www.aokworldwide.com, which can help you get to where you need to go. And as always, we will put a link to the YouTube channel when we post this episode on Twitter. We will post the video casts and other great content there as well, so please check it out. Now, Commish, on to the one-hitters.
All right. It's kind of been a continuous thing that we do hockey and one-hitters, so we're going to start with that. Let's do that hockey.
Hockey.
Second round.
Hockey!
Quack. Except they're not in the playoffs. It's all the second round, and then Lightning are against the Hurricanes, and they're leading 2-0. Bruins and Islanders are tied 1-1, and that's going to be a pretty good series, I think, going forward.
Fun. There's already game one was fun, and then game two was OT. Game one was fun because it was close into the third, even though Bruins won 5-2. Pasta with a hat trick, full garden for the Bruins game, and people throwing hats and shit. It was electric. And then game two, OT winner for the Islanders to take back home court. Really fun series.
Yeah.
Teams are going to hate each other by the end, just like they should in hockey, but they respect each other, shake hands, and skate off the ice.
All bloodied and bruised, ready to go take on the next guys trying to kill you in the next round.
Hell yeah.
But on a series that, the score of that Avs Golden Knights game, 7-1.
Yeah, not a good start for the Knights. The Avs just
more like Squires.
What they're doing. All right.
So Silver Squires. There we go. Continue. Oh, wait, I'm doing the thing.
It's your job.
Jets and Canadians, game one is tonight, and then we're going to be done with that. Because we got off the rink.
Good night, hockey.
Good night, Canada. We did that hockey.
Good night, Canada.
College women's softball. Thursday, it starts Thursday. 1 seed is Oklahoma, 2 seed is UCLA, 3 seed is Alabama, 5 seed is Oklahoma State. 10 seed is Florida State, 11 seed is Arizona. You have unseeded Georgia and unseeded James Madison, who beat Mizzou in the Super Regional, because always nice.
Must be mentioned, too. Note that Mizzou lost in the Super Regional to James Madison, who's unseeded.
An angel got the swings.
They'll play number 1 seed Oklahoma in the round 1 on Thursday. So I always love the Women's College World Series. I really get into college softball this time of year. It's a really fun sport to watch, honestly. It's very high paced. There's a lot of scoring. It's also the tempo is good.
How they hit the ball is beyond me.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Rising at you. Goddamn. And then men's college baseball, that starts this weekend. And then I didn't know this till I looked at the outline, but Medina Spirit's second drug test came back hot.
Yep. Churchill Downs announced that they're gonna ban Bob Baffert entirely for 2 years, which is a big deal for obviously the Kentucky Derbies, but Churchill Downs runs lots of races all year long, and
it's a full-on racetrack.
He trains probably more good horses than anybody, and he can't come there. It's crazy.
That is nuts.
It's gonna make betting on the Kentucky Derby harder. So you can't look for the Baffert horses. That's usually what I do.
Damn you, drug test.
Bullshit. No. It's a problem in a sport that's dealt with this for a really long time, and it's always a sport that's under scrutiny in its integrity anyway, because it's inherently linked to gambling, and you're getting past that, and then doping scandal. It's just
yeah, it's where the phrase feeling is oats comes from. Yeah, the juiced food back in the early. Yeah,
it's also just
it's been cheating from the beginning.
Yeah, it just is, and it's also a sport that is really comprised of really old. A lot of it is controlled by really old money. It's just if doping like takes interest away from the sport, like will there be another generation to like continue horse racing and what it is? But I don't know. Those are really big like questions, but it's just like kind of, you know, it's a sad story in the sense that like I hope it doesn't like kill. Like I really hope it doesn't have a long like if this is getting more notoriety because it's a doping scandal that involves a much bigger horse than what is the typical run-of-the-mill doping scandals that happen all the time in horse racing. Like, if it brings down horse racing, I'll be sad. I really appreciate horse racing as a media, as like a sport,
an enjoyment, a hobby, if you will.
As long as the horses are treated right, Don't come after us, PETA.
I don't even want to think about that. And then Naomi Osaka withdrew from the French Open and citing mental health issues.
Right. She basically said before the tournament started, she basically declared she wasn't going to take part in any mandatory media sessions because she felt that the media sessions were bad for her mental health and they gave her anxiety and all these other mental health problems, or contributed to her mental well-being, is what I should say. And the tennis association basically said, well, that's a violation of being a member of an association, and basically said, we're going to fine you, and so she withdrew, which I applaud her for, and hopefully there will be changes made to the way that those media obligations are bargained for. I do. While I stand with Naomi Osaka that she shouldn't have to withdraw or be subjected to those things. I do also understand that from the WTA's perspective, they are only as valuable as the TV product that will pay them for their product is. So part of that is media obligation. So they have to try and work with the players to find a reasonable solution to still encourage media, because I don't think we can just. My point is, I guess, that they won't be able to function if their players don't engage in some of that stuff, because that's part of the product that they sell, which ultimately is what makes the money that then allows the players to be paid. So I understand that it's this really weird position that both the players are put in because of being forced to do media, but also just the tennis association has to whatever. That's the only. It's goes back to the issues with the NFL and the players. There's always it's a weird circle because all of these players are paid based on what their product is worth. It's so weird.
But then the EPL doesn't really have forced media appearances much, not as much as here. So it's possible.
No, I know it's possible.
And it's less canned answers.
Right.
They're boring. I think that I could go away.
I agree the media. Yeah. I don't know that, but what I'm saying is I think that's part of I do think that that's part of what people tune in for, as much as you and I might not be that, or that's definitely what the networks pay for.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I said, I think that they have to figure out a reasonable solution to allow players to do media and to meet the media obligations, because to say we don't want to see the players in interviews and stuff like that is untrue. Not
during a game or after a game or before a game.
I guess we disagree there, because I like to hear what Phil Mickelson has to say after he talks about his round on what shots was he wanting to hit here, I like to hear that stuff. I agree with you that a lot of times it's super canned answers, but at the same time, and I'm not saying that they need to keep all the media availability the same, where it's just pregame, postgame, whatever. But I do think that they gotta figure out a way to allow the players maybe to pick the types of media they want to do, but also meeting whatever you say, again, the way that those teams make money is through media rights. That is what it is. That's a flat fact. The only reason that an NFL team is worth money is because people pay to watch the NFL team play, is what it is. And part of that is people rooting on their players. And so they got to figure out a reasonable solution, but they obviously need to protect the players' mental health first. I don't know what they're going to do about player, like ultimately, if enough players say we're just not gonna do it, then they'll have to come to some sort of. So hopefully,
Or just the league will change and we'll continue to move on.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're gonna have to address. Like, I think Naomi Osaka is a big enough star in tennis. I mean, she's the star in women's tennis right now. Like, that they're gonna have to figure out like a solution for it, because they can't have her pulling out of the biggest tournaments.
Yeah,
It's just
not a major.
Yeah, they can't have her pulling out of the French Open. Like, they need her at Wimbledon the next month. Like, so they got to figure it out.
Figure it out. And then I think that's the end of my one hitters.
All right. Well, we got Worm coming on.
Oh, we haven't mentioned that yet, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
we are here for.
Whoop, whoop.
We know that the NBA playoffs are going on. We're not ignoring them. That's what we're moving towards. We know that there was news. We know that you want to hear about Brad Stevens and Coach K in the NBA playoffs. And in order to do that properly, we're going to bring on our Southern NBA correspondent, Worm.
Hey, what's the haps?
All right, we have lots to cover in What's the Haps. As we promised, we are joined today by our Southern NBA correspondent, Worm. Welcome to the pod, Worm.
Hey, Worm.
Hey guys, how you guys doing?
Good, great.
Good. We're glad to have you. There's lots to talk about in the basketball world. Today seems to be the perfect day. I'm glad we decided to record on Wednesday because the basketball world had a ton of news on top of the already busy, bustling NBA playoffs. We get first. These actually happen in reverse order, but I want to start off with. We find out Coach K retiring at the end of the year. One more season, one last ride, the farewell tour in Durham. You're the perfect person to have on for this because you're the only Dookie that I know, actually. And so first off, what are your thoughts? What's the feeling amongst the Duke basketball community? Coach K stepping down after so long.
It honestly kind of caught me a little off guard, but knowing that it was coming soon. I mean, he is 72 years old, and the past couple of years with some of his health concerns, you kind of knew it was coming. I just wasn't expecting it to be this year. And I haven't really seen exactly if it was because of health concerns or if it was just time. I think he's just wanting to be done. He's 72 and wanted to be with his family.
Yeah, so what I've seen is essentially that, and some version of that. That COVID, kind of was a wake up call of how dangerous it could be, and like he's just like you said, getting up there in age. But then I also saw it was a little bit also of that feeling of now was the right time for Duke, because Coach K was getting to the point with his health and with his age that he didn't really feel comfortable going into recruits' houses and telling those recruits, I'm here for the long haul. Like, you're going to get coached by me. If you commit to Duke, you get 4 years of me and all this stuff. Like, he basically said, I don't feel comfortable doing that anymore because I don't think it's that long. And he felt like it was important to have a bit of I think he thinks it's important to have a bit of a transition year. That I don't know if you saw, but they already announced that it's going to be John Shire to replace Coach K, and basically, like Coach K, he picked Shire and said he's the guy, and so he's going to take over the Duke program after a year, and they're basically going to have this last year of Coach K with, Shire already there and waiting in the wings, which I actually think will be kind of interesting. Cause,
Good luck. Don't fuck it up.
Yeah, no pressure.
Yeah.
Don't be the fool that follows the legend.
Right.
Be the legend that follows the fool. Isn't that something the way that goes? Something to that effect?
Something like that, yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, it's I don't know. What are the thoughts about Shire? I know he played at Duke. I remember him. He was, if I remember right, one of the small, skinny, annoying white guards who got minutes and
So like a hobbit.
talked a lot of shit. Greg Paulus and
Yeah, that
Shire
was.
and all those guys. They're all cut from the same cloth. Feels like.
Yeah, it sounds like he was also instrumental in recruiting Jason Tatum and Zion Williams. So I feel like Duke felt like he had a good cohesiveness with incoming high school recruits. And I think that was a major thing, on top of just him being a Duke guy. Yeah. Yes. And it'll be interesting to see, because when they change the system from not one and done to coming right out of high school, how that changes like Shire's, how he handles that transition as well. I think that's something also Coach K didn't want to deal with as well.
Dodge that bullet while he could.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. Also, you never know. Big coaches start stepping down. Be on the lookout for a scandal.
Hey, Duke's dodged it for the longest time, so you never know.
I'll step down on this. No, we're going into a deep hole for a while.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be dark.
Yeah.
I'm just ready for it.
It's,
The NCAA's coming with some infractions and some suspensions and maybe some vacated wins and
yeah, I don't know what's going to happen.
scholarship revocation. I know it's coming that day when that day comes. So right now we're just dodging bullets. We're trying to win natties while we can. That's all we're doing.
Do you think it's going to actually happen, or do you think they're just going to transition into start paying them and be like, we're just going to forgive everything? Because I don't think that they want that kind of giant scandal just to rip through all the blue bloods, because you're already seeing a struggle with
That's
like
always what I
college
heard.
basketball.
I can't source this, so I'm not gonna like put anything behind it. But basically, like what I had heard from some people who were close to the situation was that basically like KU always felt good about what was like about their position, because like basically if it's KU, then it's Kentucky and it's Duke and it's Carolina and it's UCLA
Arizona.
and all
Yeah.
of these programs that like if you're taking down Kansas, you're not gonna do it without being able. You're gonna have Kansas is gonna let you take them down and not take down these others. So it's kind of like that. Like you said, is like the NCAA can't afford to have all of their blue bloods like go to.
It's like
No.
a Cold War, if you will.
It's like Louisville couldn't escape what they were doing because there was like evidence of like strippers and drugs and stuff. But like if it's just dropping the bag for a few kids, like NCAA might just be like,
Yeah. No, I agree.
You didn't even win a title with those
Yeah.
guys.
It's
So
like, what the hell, guys?
I'm
Like,
just gonna be like, let's not do that again. Let's,
Yep.
maybe
Stop
we'll,
it.
Maybe we'll
don't.
put you on a high level probation. You might have to fire
Probation.
an assistant coach.
Mhm.
Probably an
You gotta
equipment
somebody
manager
might
or
have to
some
take the
shit.
bullet.
Yeah.
But ultimately, just don't drop more bags. And we'll keep the suspensions and move on with our lives and make money together.
Exactly.
Fire,
I just want to
fire the custodian.
highlight some of the statistics, like some of his career stats. I mean, he's first in wins, 1,170. Tied for first in tourney appearances at 35. First in 15 in 30 win seasons with 15. Final Four appearances was 12. Final Four wins was 14. National titles is 5, which is second only to John Wooden. And then 41 NBA first rounders, which is also tied for first. So he's a pretty great pedigree.
Yeah, I mean, there's no denying the resume. It speaks for itself. The guy's a legend. He's like one of the best basketball coaches ever. If not
Coached
the
in
best.
the Olympics,
Yeah,
won
he is.
like dream team,
Yeah,
right?
He's got the resume that is unmatched, and I am interested to see. One thing I am interested to see is Duke basketball is synonymous with Coach K.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike some of the other blue bloods, like Kentucky has had multiple iterations of Kentucky is just a good basketball program. It's Rupp and then Pitino and Tubbs and then Calipari. They've gone through multiple iterations of that. Carolina had the Dean Smith era and then the Roy Williams era. Kansas has had success with multiple different coaches and it's been a successful program forever with multiple different leaders and whatnot. Duke has not, and I'm interested to see. I mean, I think they've obviously built the pedigree to continue to be, a blue blood, a top tier, top elite program. But it's like, will we see at Duke kind of fall the way the UCLA does, right? Like now
Yeah.
UCLA is more of like they are definitely like a historical blue blood, but from year to year right now, they're hit or miss. Like they have really good years and, they random Final Four runs like this year. But like they also, have had some really bad, really low years, and like I don't know. I'm just very interested to see because we don't know Duke without Coach K. No one really does. I mean, before Coach K, Duke was not a good basketball program, so it's just like legitimately no one knows Duke basketball without Coach K. So
Exactly.
it's a very intriguing proposition.
It's like it's going to be weird when Bill Belichick steps down or retires.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
But I feel like NFL or like professional programs in general, like as much as Bill Belichick is like obviously a huge like figure in New England, like particularly I guess in that team sport, it feels like there's like he has less control. I mean, he has a lot of control, but he like a lot of people like see that as Tom Brady's team or like whatever. But like Duke, Coach K has been like the constant because like it's just the unique thing about a college program where like the most constant person at a college program, if you have a long term, is that head coach, right? Because their players are only there for 4 years max or 5 with the red shirt. But like you don't have like in the New England situation like the entire time that they were that the Patriots have been good under Bill Belichick, Tom Brady was there. So it's like there's multiple people that you can like see. It's just I don't know anybody that's constant of anything maybe as much as in sports as much as like Duke and Coach K. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'm picking up what you're laying down.
Yeah, man. Smell what I'm stepping in?
Yep.
All right. Well, again, I don't know if you're gonna like pour one out for Coach K and the pomade suppliers of Durham.
Country
Yeah, it'll
Kitchen
be sad to see
Buffet.
him go for sure.
Yeah, just for men, like dark black supplies in Durham. Finally able to get that again. So another big piece of like speaking of like staple people and in an organization, Danny Ainge steps down as the GM of the Celtics today, retires. Not all that surprising. I think most people coming into this offseason for the Celtics knew that there was probably some sort of change coming, and I think most people thought if they were going to make a change, at the coaching personnel level, it was going to be Ainge. It wasn't going to be Brad Stevens. But weirdly, Brad Stevens, not only does Ainge step down as the GM, Brad Stevens now assumes the role of president of basketball operations for the Celtics and will no longer be coaching. Like, that part, very surprising to me. Worm, did you have any...
Did you see that coming?
No, what was your thought when you
Yeah.
found out that not only Ainge was stepping down, but that Stevens wasn't going to coach anymore?
Yeah, that really caught me off guard. And it was just weird that because they're making him GM, right? Correct?
Yeah, he's going to be the president of basketball operations. He's going to be in charge of personnel and everything.
Yeah. It caught me off guard. I mean, you knew something was going to happen after this year with just the past basically 3 seasons since Kyrie. It's just been a struggle, and I think it's when you look back on it, it's like it goes back to Danny Ainge. But I was never going to guess that Brad Stevens was going to leave coaching and jump out into the GM.
I just thought, I agree with you that it was clear that there was roster problems, that the roster wasn't constructed very well after Kyrie left. They made that one deeper playoff run with Tatum and Brown, but some of Danny Ainge's most recent moves really just haven't played out that well. Kimball Walker as a signing has not turned out to be great.
That hurts.
Hayward had the injury and then it kind of got all messed up and couldn't keep him, and then they have. I didn't really like that they traded Tice because they could have used a guy like Tice this year just to come in and be experienced and hit threes and stretch the floor instead of trying to run out Time Lord out there who can be really awesome but also just makes really stupid plays and doesn't know how to get through his rotations on defense and just it ultimately ends up as a net negative. They didn't. Their roster was not very good beyond those 2 guys.
Right.
And Kemba Walker's probably untradeable because his contract's so bad.
And his knees.
And his knees are so bad. So like,
Yes.
I don't like to say any contract is untradeable because we have seen Russell Westbrook and Chris Paul's untradeable contracts be traded.
And John Wall.
And John Wall's. Like, Chris Paul and Westbrook's contracts have been traded twice each. Plus John Wall's contract got traded. So like, no contract is untradeable, but who the fuck is trading for Kemba Walker in his current iteration?
No. Yeah.
So they're gonna run it back. But they have nothing of value really. If you don't want to trade, you can't trade Kemba. You don't want to trade Tatum or Brown because those two guys are like your core. Like, really, the only trade piece they have is Marcus Smart.
Yep.
And there's not much beyond that, and that's the problem. Their first-round picks have not been good. Langford's a disaster. What's his name?
Pritchard.
Pritchard. He's been okay.
Yeah.
He's not moving the needle much.
They were never going to beat the Nets.
No, they were never going to beat the Nets, but I don't think it's even about whether they were going to beat the Nets, because especially with Jaylen Brown out, they were never going to beat the Nets or even come close to beating the Nets. But, it was a Celtics organization. They went into the season, I think, expecting to be an Eastern Conference contender.
Right.
And obviously you have some injuries, and they've had a lot of problems, but just like Worm said, the roster wasn't there. But what I didn't see is the Stevens part. It was kind of shocking to me.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I think the Stevens thing has to be he's burned out. He's either burned out on coaching, or he thinks, that there just needs to be like a fresh voice, like being the voice for these guys, and he's basically still going to run the team as a president of basketball ops. Because I could see that happening. It's basically Pat Riley.
Mm-hmm.
Pat Riley.
That didn't work out well.
They won 3 titles. What are you talking about?
It worked out really well.
No, well, who am I thinking
When he
of?
was with the Heat, he basically became.
That's what I'm thinking of, not the Celtics. Sorry, no.
Yeah, Pat. I'm just saying, like, Stevens is basically doing what Pat Riley did with the Heat. He coached, and then he stepped into the front office role, but he's still he manages the personnel. He's got the coaching background to be involved in the coaching, and then essentially press the buttons when he needs to. I mean, if he needs to come in and see an adjust, if he's your guy that's watching, Game 3 and seeing how somebody's adjusting to a Jason Tatum pick and roll and how they're playing it in the rotations, he's going to be the guy that's going to come down and be like, okay, this is adjustment I've seen. And maybe he's going to still be directing things, but they are hiring a new head coach. I heard an interesting name. I was listening to Ryan Russillo. They did an emergency podcast on the Stevens Ainge issue with him and Simmons and Kevin O'Connor and Jackie McMullen. And Jackie Mack proposed Chauncey Billups and thinks that he will get that he's a strong candidate for them. Because he's obviously, a guy that's going to come in with a lot of pull and cash and, kind of clout and, presence with that group of age of players. Like Tatum and those guys were old enough to remember those Pistons teams and how good of a player he is. Plus he's been in the media, and now he's been coaching with the Clippers. So that's an interesting one to watch. I thought it was really great. I mean, that one is another one that just kind of came out of nowhere for me. The Stevens thing I really wasn't expecting. He's been in the years been coaching for 9 years. They're in the playoffs all the time. I guarantee you, if the Celtics had fired Stevens and another job opened, he'd be call number 1. Because I really don't think any of the Celtics' recent problems have anything to do with Stevens. But I don't know.
No, I completely agree. I think you're right on the nose with being a mixture of him feeling he needed to.
That didn't work out well for the Celtics.
Need to be a new voice, just in general, for the team, and then him just being tired of the grind of just coaching. Because you said 9 years? Was it 9 years that he was at the Celtics? That's a long time for a head coach. I mean, besides Pop.
When I realized that he'd been there for 9 years, but
really? It's been
Pop
9 years.
Spoelstra, I can't think of coaches don't last that long ever.
Right.
For the most part.
Yeah, typically in the NBA they are not there that long. It's a lot like EPL. Coaches just don't last that long. Yeah, Spoelstra and Pop are the only real like long tenured head coaches in the league right now that I can think of.
I mean,
Yeah,
how
me
long
too.
has Kerr been at Golden State?
I guess Kerr would be close.
Kerr's long, but not compared to those other two guys.
Yeah.
But he has been there a while, I guess.
Was it 5 years, 6 years maybe?
That first Golden State team was like 2013.
Go to friendly
Yeah.
Google.
Or 15.
Well, 15 was the
They won, right?
yeah, it was in that range, like 13, 15, 14, somewhere in there. The first title.
2014.
Yeah, so
No, 2014. Okay.
so he's been there 7 years, so behind Stevens, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It was shocking. It was not something I was expecting. So it'll be interesting to see who they hire. But they were eliminated by the Nets, and that kind of brings us to, we might as well move on into the actual playoffs now that to go through the playoffs, we are going to just run through the West first.
That was a mess.
Yeah.
Sorry that we had to do a jump. That was...
For a little choppy transition. We are going to go through the West first. Each of the West series, just kind of talk about what we're looking at, what we've been seeing, what we're looking forward to, all that sort of stuff for each series, and then we will go to the East and do that for each of those series as well. Starting though, we have to start with Portland-Denver. Thriller in Denver last night. Denver takes a 3-2 series lead. Late night NBA TV game last night. The best game of the night, maybe of the entire playoffs, is on NBA TV with Spiro Ditas calling the game. It was totally weird, but it was awesome. We got to start talking about Dame. 55 points, 10 assists, 6 boards. Just had a ridiculous game. Warren, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, Dame was just Dame time all night last night. He was just incredibly clutch. Every single time he shoots the ball, especially when it's like the buzzer, you think it's going to go in. It's like turn around, step back three, good. At the end of the second overtime, it was just incredible the run he was on. Dude. 17 of 24 shooting was ridiculous.
Yeah, most made threes in a playoff game ever. 12 for 17 from three. 12 for 17 from three.
That's nuts.
Wild shit.
That's just nuts.
KD was
unbelievable.
The game. KD said he entered God mode. He said that it was a spiritual experience to watch. And honestly, it was, man. The dude hit so many big shots that just like kept Portland in that game.
Yes.
The funniest thing is like I had been watching that game on and off, and then Julio, I like went in like kind of like was watching TV in bed, and like he kept watching the game, and then Julia asked me to turn it off because she was going to sleep. So I was like, okay, whatever. So I had actually like put it on my phone, and I'm like sitting there, phone, headphones, like watching Dame do like mad shit, and just like hands on my head, like thinking that I'm just like being like silently, just like being like, like it was amazing. Like that dude, oh my god, the shot to tie the game in the first overtime, the spin step back three over Austin Rivers, where he also got fouled, by the way. Just like,
did he get the four?
God. It's like it's such ridiculous shot making. Like that guy makes shots from everywhere, in every angle, in every body position. He's incredible.
Yeah, he is incredible. Did you see at the end of the second overtime when Dame actually missed a shot? Yeah. Austin Rivers was like, "Thank God."
Yeah, there was an Austin Rivers. Like, there's a video of Austin Rivers turning and just like doing one of these because he missed a shot. Like, if you're making your opponents do that, like.
That's just desperation. You're not playing basketball. You're trying to get lucky. That's gambling. You just like, let's hope this works.
I mean, it was incredible.
And then poor Dame, he couldn't get any help from his team in overtimes.
The next thing on my outline is it feels like Dame is going like ultimately in his like big picture legacy of like Dame, what Dame Lillard was and what was like to watch Dame Lillard. It feels like in like 10 years he's gonna get punished because they never put a championship roster around him ever. Mm-hmm. Like he gets no help. and people are gonna like look back and be like, oh, Dame Lillard, like he was fun, but you know he never won anything and like all this stuff. And they're like, no, you don't understand how fucking clutch and like magical that guy is sometimes.
It's like John Stockton kind of with the Jazz. It's like him and Karl Malone were great, you know, but they never won a title.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's weird. It
Dame
sucks.
Made some finals, and like Dame has just like been a prisoner of like just not good roster decisions and underperformances by CJ McCollum. Like McCollum was nowhere to be found last night.
No.
Like,
They should have McCalled him.
if they get anything from him, then I feel like they win that game.
He knows.
And I think we're definitely headed for 7. I hope we're headed for
Mhm.
7. I need Dame Lillard game 7.
Dame time,
I need
baby.
it in my life.
Mm-hmm.
The Nuggets. The fact that the Nuggets won that game, though, should tell you how good they played. Like, you have 55 in a shooting night, a guy that makes 12 threes, like, you expect to lose. They don't. Obviously, again, Dame didn't get much help, but they got
He can't
really big
do it on his
production and
own,
a really
man.
big bounce-back performance from MPJ. Michael
Mhm.
Porter played really well, hit kind of the dagger shot in the end of the second overtime on a really nasty pass from Jokic.
What was the final again? I didn't get to watch this game, unfortunately.
It was like 146 to 140. something
Yeah.
Like that.
Mhm.
I mean, it was high scoring, high octane. Like, it was freaking awesome. Like, I could not go to sleep afterward. I was just like hyped. But you know, the only reason that Portland was in that game at all was Dame.
Mm-hmm.
They were down
Yep.
at the end in overtime, in the first overtime. They were down. Portland was down 8 with like a minute left, and Dame pulled them all the way. Like Dame scored the next 8 points.
Yeah.
Just like fucking dragged them.
Yeah.
It was.
He blazed the trail for him.
Yes. And then his teammate play was just brutal. I mean, like I think Covington missed like 2 dunks. Just
It
Oh.
was terrible, dude.
it was
It was
brutal.
really, honestly, like, I honestly was like, it was pathetic. Like, I was honestly like, I don't understand Dame. Dame is ridiculous because the fact that he is gonna will this team to another overtime is just wild shit.
And
Yeah,
he's
it
a
was
good
ridiculous.
one thing
It
to.
was
Oh, sorry.
134 to 126 with a minute 50 left, and they go to overtime, second overtime, 135. So Dame by himself goes on a 9-0 or 9-1 run. All Dame Lillard.
Mhm.
Dame Lillard, 31-foot jump shot. Dame Lillard, 29-foot step back jump shot.
It's
Dame Lillard,
nasty.
27-foot step back jump shot to tie the game, 135 with 6 seconds left. Like, just superhero shit. Reggie
What?
Miller in the Garden shit. Like,
Yeah.
it was
The what?
disgusting.
But it's like, and I've always heard him. He's a good teammate, right?
Yeah, people love him.
Right. So it's
And
like,
he wants to win in Portland, and like he's.
what do you think the locker room's like though? When you go back there and it's like you guys, they know they had a bad game.
Fuck yeah. They
So-
do.
so it's like-
McCollum feels terrible.
Yeah, it's like, what do they talk about? It's like, hey Dame, you want to go get dinner? Like, nah, man, okay. Like, we'll see you at practice.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I think he's just a really good teammate. He just wants to win, so he's probably like really good about it. But yeah, it has to be awkward. Like he played out.
Just
bad.
even just a little bit, because it's like, bros, give me
And then-
15.
Yeah. It just goes to show that the Joker is the MVP. Like
Yeah.
just to show like just the fact that they were able to pull that out. I mean, he had a 38,
Yeah, he had a
9
good
assists,
night. Yeah.
and 11 rebounds. And his just ability to pass the ball and find the open guy for a 3-pointer. Like he did a ridiculous one where like the double team was coming. He was being double team, looked over, cross court pass, like beautifully lobbed it over Covington to MPJ, who just nailed a corner 3.
Well,
Like
that's what I
his
was talking about.
passing,
That was like the dagger.
yes,
That was like the dagger shot, and it was a ridiculous pass from Jokic.
Mhm.
One-handed, just like perfect, like in the pocket, right over the guy's hand, just like barely misses the guy, the defender's like perfect art. Like,
yeah.
he's incredible.
Top shot moment.
Okay, I got to get your thoughts on this series in general because this is the series is just confusing to me because like when you look down the rosters, you're like, okay, the backcourt I got on Portland, you got Dame and CJ, and then you look over without Murray, they have like Monte Morris, Austin Rivers, and Campazzo.
Yeah,
And you're like,
has been playing out of his mind.
yeah, and you're like,
last night.
yeah, it's ridiculous. And like a fourth quarter Austin Rivers in Game 3, I think the Game 3, or he just went off. It was just crazy.
Been, like, way overachieving because when you look at this series, it's like you would think, well, Portland's guards are gonna torch them, but they don't have any size.
Right.
And that's the thing that happened in overtime was Nurkic fouled out, and they just had nothing down low, and Jokic just went to work every possession. In overtime, that's why Denver had such big leads, because Portland had nobody to throw at Jokic at that point. At one point, I'm pretty sure it was Covington who was having to guard Jokic. It's like, Covington's a big guy, but like, not like that.
Yeah.
No, not anywhere close.
Jokic would just like go to work start leaning on him, and then eventually the double would come and he'd find the open guy because he's an incredible passer. Like, it's a problem for them. They need Nurkic to stay healthy. Cantor's unplayable because he's so bad defensively. Like,
it's brutal.
I like that guy a lot, and like he's a really good offensive player. He just can't play a playoff series. Like he just gets targeted constantly. It happened when he was in Oklahoma City. It happened when he was in Boston. Like people just like target him if you play him in a playoff series. So I don't know. I like I said, on the series as a whole, I'm just like rooting for 7 games. I think Portland will come back and get theirs at home, and we'll get Game 7 in Denver. And
God, I hope so.
That'll be fun as fuck.
Hell
That'll be fun.
Keeping it out west, the other game that was last night, not near as exciting. The Suns destroy the Lakers in Game 5, take a 3-2 series lead. Devin Booker, 30.7 rebounds, 5 assists. Lakers, this stat is nuts. The Lakers only got 35 points from their entire starting 5, 24 of which were from LeBron. Just brutal shit.
You're not going to win basketball games.
No. The Lakers trotted out LeBron James, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who had like 2 points. Dennis Schroeder, who was like, he had 5 on he was terrible. Like, just
yeah, he was like 0 for 9 or something.
Oof.
Like,
yeah.
Markieff Morris and Andre Drummond, and those guys outside of LeBron, Morris had 4 and Andre Drummond had 7, and that was it.
Oh.
The entire starting 5. Kuzma was pretty good off the bench, but they had nothing, man. Anthony Davis being out is the one thing. Anthony Davis in this series is the one, obviously they have LeBron, but Anthony Davis is the big advantage that the Lakers have in this series when he's healthy and playing well. We saw that in Game 2 and Game 3. He just kind of dominated.
They don't have an answer.
But without him, it's just problematic.
And Chris Paul being back
Yeah, but
is...
then Paul got hurt last night.
Again? Damn it.
That's the weird thing about this series is it's impossible to, it's all injury related right now. It feels like we've really gotten robbed of what could have been a pretty good series. Because I would love to see full strength Lakers versus full strength the Suns with Chris Paul.
Yes.
We're never going to see it though because there's no way AD's ever going to be fully healthy for this series.
Dude.
Even if he plays, he's going to be very, very limited.
Groin injuries suck.
They take forever. There's nothing they can do. Massage and do all the shit, but there really isn't anything you can do.
RICE, right?
He's just gonna.
I mean, that's all you can do.
He's not gonna be right, and he probably won't be right the rest of the playoffs. So even if they get by Phoenix, it's gonna be a tough road to hoe against Gobert if they get to the next round or whatever. It's just.
Plus, it can linger. Those are the type of things, if you don't rehab it correctly, you just play through the pain. It's all right, well, now, you have groin issues for the rest of your career. That fucking sucks.
So, I don't know. The uncertainty with CP3, I haven't heard anything yet today. So, we are recording on Wednesday, so if something drops Wednesday evening, we didn't hear about it. But last I heard was he was, day to day, and it's the same injury he had before. He just basically kind of tweaked it. So
Mm-hmm.
Worm, what are your thoughts on this? Game 6 is in LA on Thursday. It just feels like it's a completely different series without Anthony Davis.
It is. He anchors the defense so well. And then, I mean, it's 30 points. Like, he gets you 30 points almost every single time. They lost by 30 yesterday. And it's honestly just that simple when it comes to that. So if he's, I don't know, what does he have to be for them to have a chance? Like 60% healthy,
Well,
maybe?
I think
70%?
I don't think LeBron's fully healthy.
No.
I don't think his ankle ever fully healed from that high ankle sprain that kept him out most of the rest of the year. And so I think if LeBron was fully healthy and had been playing like that, then maybe they only need 60% Anthony Davis. Maybe LeBron is just superhuman enough to put everybody on his back and just get them to the next series. Currently, it doesn't feel like that's possible. Honestly, I feel like they need Anthony Davis to be
competitive.
Pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
I am very interested. Game 6 tomorrow night. I'm gonna be pumped to watch it because LeBron in Game 6s there's a history with them. He plays typically plays very well in Game 6 because he knows how important it is, and
he'll do everything he
still
can.
LeBron, man.
Yeah.
Until he really
proven otherwise.
Yeah, I'm not gonna doubt that they have a big chance to win, but they're gonna have to get contributions from Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder has to make shots, and I think that they need
Yes.
I really think that they need to get Drummond out. The Drummond thing just doesn't work, dude. It just clogs everything up because their guy can't do anything. He can't stretch the floor. I think they're gonna have to.
Gasol. The five to go to Gasol.
Gasol, and I think and then I just think Kuzma's got to probably get more minutes.
And then 80 at the 5 at some point.
80 at the 5 if he's healthy, if he's playing. If he's not healthy, it's totally different.
Yeah.
But
How early in the game do you think LeBron was just I'm good for this game. I'll just save it for Game 6.
Early.
Like halfway through the first quarter.
Well, I think he was, and then they came out at halftime, and he had a big third quarter. I think he had 17 in the third.
Yeah.
I think he was like, okay, can I energize these guys? Can we make a run? And I think when they didn't make a run, and it was still 19 or 20 at the end of the third quarter, he was just like, yeah, I'm out.
Phoning this shit
He
in.
left the floor. He sat at the
He
end
did.
He sat at the end of the bench and then left the floor with 6 minutes to go. Just walked out.
Phoned it in, man. Sometimes you just gotta.
Let's go get the rehab started early. I guess I don't know. It was. I don't know. Like I said, I'm excited to watch it because I just hope that we get one of those LeBron games. I really God, sometimes a game like that from LeBron James when he's just on fully in his bag and making shots and making every pass and just
king
fully
mode.
Engaged. There's not a lot like it, man.
Yeah.
I'm just pumped. I hope we get one of those games.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. We haven't seen full attack mode LeBron. Even last night, he shot 19 times, but 10 of them were threes. He wasn't attacking the basket at all. So it'll be interesting to see him turn it on, if he can turn it on in Game 6.
It felt like the second half of the Warriors game was the last time that we saw that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The second half of the Warriors game when it was all of a sudden LeBron was just going to the bucket and getting and ones and taking over and making every pass and making every little scoop layup, and it felt like that was the last time I saw LeBron in real attack mode. And I don't know. Hopefully we'll see it tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Because they gotta extend this series. I'd love to see a Game 7 there too, just because.
More basketball.
Game 7, I'm down for.
More basketball.
We'll move through this next one a little quicker so we can get to Clips Mavs and then get to the East. But Jazz Grizz, Game 5 is tonight.
Well, okay, I'm probably naive about this, but Gobert, is he really good? Is he supposed to be really good?
Defensively, yeah, he's
okay.
Because kind of he's gonna win Defensive Player of the Year in the NBA again.
Okay, so he's not known for his offense thow.
No, not really.
Okay, because I was
just catches lobs and
gets swatted by people smaller than him multiple times. I don't know. I was watching one game over the weekend. It's I swear, it's this little like gnat comes out of nowhere and swats him. It's like, how did you not beat that guy? Like, it was just. Were any of you watching? It was sometime over the weekend. You were on the lake.
Sure it was the Memphis.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was Memphis.
No, it was
Obviously
Memphis.
then.
But I'm just saying, like, go back. He was just like, I'm like, what the hell, man? Like, put it in the hoop.
Well,
So
the funniest thing is, like, the reason that Memphis hasn't won a game since the game one is that they can't play defense. They can't guard.
they were ball hawking
They
the
might
other
be ball
day.
hawking, but defensively they have not been good in this series. They can't get stops. I mean, the reason that they've lost the last few games is because they've given up like an all-star game level of points. Like they are Memphis to me feels like a team that's a year away. I mean, they gave up 120 in game 4. They gave up 121 in game 3. They gave up, I think, 130 one night.
141.
They're giving up too many points to win basketball games. 141, yeah. Game 2, they gave up 141. And it's like
They don't have enough scoring either.
well, they have scoring. They just can't. That's the problem. Like again, they are scoring enough points because they scored 129 in that game. They gave up 141. They just can't get stops, and they feel too young.
I don't know what game I was watching then, because I have a very different recollection of the last game between the Jazz and the Grizzlies. Because it was like the exact opposite. The Memphis, I don't know. I don't know.
Memphis won the first game and like made it really ugly. Like that was a really good win for them. They uglied it up, and then since then the Jazz have gotten everything they wanted. I mean, the Memphis has been super competitive. Like probably more competitive than any of us thought going into this series, or definitely more than I thought. Worm, you can correct me if you thought differently. I didn't think that Memphis would be as competitive as they've been. Ja Morant is clearly a stud, and gonna be a star in this league for the next 10 years. It just feels like the last game that they played in Memphis, game 4 in Memphis. They were down 4, like 3 or 4 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. They're down 4 points. Ja Morant, ugly turnover. Conley 3 on the other end. Come back. Morant takes pull up 3 hero shot to try to get the 3 back that he just gave up. Clank. Go the other way. Bogdanovich nails a 3, and now all of a sudden 4 became 10 in 2 possessions of really dumb basketball. And that is, like, in my opinion, what the Grizzlies are at the moment. They're just too young, and they just don't. They're amazing and talented. They make mistakes where you can't make them currently. But I think they're like a year away or a couple of years away from being like really good if they can kind of continue to build that roster.
I completely agree. You said it right on the nose with them just being too young, and they just haven't had enough playoff experience. And honestly, like not having Jaren Jackson, like. Putting like his just shot making is just off. He hasn't really been there since coming back from his injury, so I think that's hurt them in general.
Yeah, he really just hasn't found rhythm since he.
Yeah.
So.
No, but I do love Ja. His floater game's incredible. I love watching
ridiculous.
this. Yeah.
They have game 5 of that series is tonight as well, and then there's 4 NBA games tonight as we're recording.
Hell yeah.
And then the last game I know. Worm has all the insight on. Clips Mavs. Series tied 2-2. Game 5 is tonight.
Which is it? The late game?
It is.
9.
The late game on TNT.
Dude, those games are so hard for me to stay awake for. I want to watch them, but it's like, oh my god. If it goes to overtime.
My last night was double overtime.
Yeah.
Alright, so Worm, I literally put in the outline, let Worm tell us what's up with the Mavs and Luka's health. Is Luka good to go? What the hell's going on? And then what changed from game 1 and 2 to game 3 and 4?
Yeah, it all comes down to Luka and his health. I mean, it's like some type of neck injury, and it's got to be some type of like nerve that is just aching him because he is just not the same. Like he several times throughout. I think it was maybe the first quarter in game 3 is when it happened. And then just throughout game 3 and 4, you could see him wincing and several times coming down the floor and just like passing it off to like Jalen Brunson and then go standing in the corner. Like if you don't have Luka 100% doing what he was doing in games 1 and 2. They just don't have enough. They just don't have a chance because they can't get anything from KP, their second max player. And if KP can't be like he was with the Knicks, or even a little bit like he was towards the bubble last year before he got hurt, they just don't have enough. Like, they just don't have a chance. And they were so hot the first 2 games as far as shooting. Like, they were just on fire. Like, everything was falling. And when stuff didn't fall in games 3 and 4, the Clippers just ate them alive. Kawhi, his ability to just get into the lane to that elbow spot and just rise up and shoot with his like soft touch, you just know it's going in every single time.
Yeah, sometimes it's like he intentionally hits the rim because he knows he's got 75 seconds to go in.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
And their playoff Kawhi, I just wanted to talk about playoff Kawhi because that dude is incredible. Like, he is not, he does kind of the load management thing, and like it's a little bit of like a hot topic, come and go about him, but when he gets in the playoffs and he starts really locking in, that dude's fucking great. Like,
yeah,
his shot making, his like physical like play, and just like that guy's awesome. He makes free throws. He can do everything. Yeah, I think I agree with you. It's all about what is Luka giving you. Is Luka there 100%? If so, you got a chance. Otherwise, the Clippers, just too much talent there. And honestly, like before the series, like I would have predicted the Clippers to win the series anyway.
Yes.
As much as I like Luka, like I wasn't really thinking like the Mavs were gonna beat them in 7 games. I thought once the Mavs took the first 2 games in LA, I was like,
it's a big deal.
This is the Clippers clippering, like this
right?
Is happening.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think we made the joke of clipping them out of the playoffs the other day, or I probably did. That one probably whiffed, but.
Then to have them go back and win both games in Dallas, it's like, all right, now it feels back to like, okay, the Clippers are a better team. Like, I don't know. I feel like Dallas needs to win this game. I feel like Game 5 is never like it's very obvious. I mean, it's obviously very important because like statistics say the team that wins Game 5 wins something like a ridiculously high amount of the series. It's like 90% or something like that.
Jeez.
So it's like a ridiculous number. So obviously Game 5 is important, but I feel like for the Mavs, it's like it's not doable if they don't win this one.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And you can tell, like, whatever is ailing Luka is just bothering him. I mean, he was like 0 for 5 from the free throw line, and like,
I remember
like,
seeing that and just thinking like,
yeah,
a guy like that missing all 5 free throws,
right? I'm like 14% from 3, sub 40 from 2, like, or just field goal percentage in general. Like, it was just, if he can't be Luka, then they just don't have much of a chance. Unless Tim Hardaway's gonna and KP is gonna do something crazy this Game 5.
Tim Hardaway right now, like that's the big problem.
We're gonna have a hard way.
Yes.
Speaking of bad field goal percentages, let's move to the Eastern Conference and talk about the Knicks.
Oh God.
Knicks Hawks. The Knicks can't score. That series, we want that series to be so fun because it is so fun, and especially like games like right now as we're recording is Game 5 happening in the Garden. Knicks Hawks.
The Hawks are fun to watch.
The Hawks are fun to watch, and that series in general is fun. Like I said, especially with the crowds at the Garden, it's like it's been a lot of fun. But the Knicks just can't score. Like they're down 10 right now, by the way, in the third quarter. Hawks up 66-56. Julius Randle. That's where I was going with the field goal percentage thing. The dude's shooting like 29% for the series. Not from 3, just in general.
Still less than a third, obviously.
Yeah, like
Jesus.
he's your best player, and he can't score, and thus the Hawks get every transition because they get long rebounds off all these clankers. And you're just in transition, and the only thing the Hawks could do really, or the Knicks really had going for them is like, let's be physical, play defense, slow this game down, like attack Trae Young. Well, if you're in transition constantly, like it doesn't help.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work for this team. So the Knicks have to get more scoring. I think that's the only thing that like can save that series. I would love if they could get somehow win tonight in New York and then steal one. Finally get Randall to do something in Game 6.
Make
and then steal one
make
and get back to
like
the Garden.
40% of his baskets,
Game
maybe.
7 in the Garden would be just like
What's his free throw percentage?
I don't know. Not good.
Yeah.
Guy's just not scoring at all, man. He's got 18 tonight. So let's see how he's doing tonight. As we were recording.
He's 82 from the free throw line. I mean, so it's
there you go.
decent. But you're right, 27% shooting is just bad.
Tonight he's shooting 46% from the field. So still not good. He got 18 points. Don't see his shooting stats tonight. But, it just like...
Maybe he gives him a chance tonight then.
Player, like they need him to score in order to make this even competitive at all. And he just hasn't been that. I mean, I think some people thought he was headed for a supermax, contract from them. Well, not supermax, but a max deal from them. And if I'm the Knicks, man, he's got another year on his deal. Like, as good as he was in the regular season, like, if you go a full playoff series and you can't have one, like, game where you're actually, like, good, like, that's problematic.
I completely agree.
The opposite is happening with Trae Young. People thought, like, a lot of people had kind of dogged on Trae for he's too small in the playoffs when things get physical. They're going to attack him on the defense.
Physical.
They're going to attack him when he's on defense. Whoever gets switched on, they're just going to attack him. And thus far, all that dude's done is be fucking awesome.
Yes. He's done a pretty good job of playing the game of basketball.
Yeah, man. He's been everything you want out of a star. He controls the pace of the game so well. And I don't know if you picked up on this word, but it just feels like he can get to every spot on the court that he wants to get because his handle is so good and he understands like spacing and
he kind of like
and he just kind of makes his way to wherever he needs to get to, and then he's such a good passer.
He like elegantly moves through a crowd, if you will. Yeah. It's like kind of.
The thing is, like, you have to respect his jump shot, obviously, but like that allows him to kind of get wherever he needs to get on the floor and find the open guys. Like the lob game with him and Capella, like really good.
Capella.
And they're finally getting some good play from DeAndre Hunter.
Yeah, you're seeing signs of him, which is great.
It feels like he's for like the big picture standpoint of the Hawks, like him continuing to progress is like the piece, right? They need him to be a solid number 2 for Trae. And this team is
I agree.
kind of ready to win. It's crazy because moving into the next series, like if the Hawks win, they're gonna get the Sixers.
Mm-hmm.
And the Sixers might be without Joel Embiid. They announced today that he has a meniscus. He has a tear in his meniscus.
Oh no! Oh, injuries are ripping basketball away from us, man.
Weird, there's this like I'm not a doctor, so I'm not gonna try to be one. But basically, like I was reading Pro Football Doc on Twitter, who analyzes injuries and stuff.
For pro football players, generally?
Typically pro football players, but anytime there's a big star, he typically will weigh in. And he was talking about how, like, if the meniscus tear is, like, a new meniscus tear, then he's probably done for the playoffs. But they said that there's a chance that they just found this meniscus tear that he's actually had for a while. It's, like, kind of, like, lingering and almost, like, it's just being maintained, like, maintenance type thing. And if that's the case, then he might be able to play. Like you could play with treatment, and assuming the swelling and all that stuff is manageable. But I don't know. It was a real bummer when that happened because they don't need him to beat the Wizards. In fact, they're beating the Wizards right now in Game 5, looking to put that series away. They're up by 14 in the fourth quarter, so they don't need Joel Embiid to beat the Wizards.
But we're not shocked by that. That's not the problem.
No, the problem is like. It might be difficult for them to beat the Hawks if the Hawks play well. I think if Embiid is healthy, they match up very well with the Hawks because Embiid is a problem for Trae Young, like as far as a rim protector. Because the Knicks don't have any rim protection, especially with Nerlens Noel out. Like, Embiid would be a big problem for them. But without him.
Find your space, man, and make things happen.
The Eastern Conference Finals, that's fucking wild.
That would be
insane. The Hawks have been completely different since they made their coaching change, and then since
And
Bogdanovich
yeah.
coming back, he's been just great. And I feel like Trey's starting to trust his team even more, to where he's not doing just the solo ball that he was doing over the past couple of years, and he's just facilitating and managing the game so well that that's scary for the 76ers.
His passing highlights. His passing highlights are
He's incredible.
awesome now. Like so, I that's a great point you said, Worm. It's like he trusts his teammates now, and that just opens up a whole nother part of the floor. And apparently he can throw dimes. So
Oh, dude, that guy's a
yeah.
great passer. And like Worm said, I do think he's
I hope
starting
they make
to show
it.
more of a passive
Distributor.
a distributor. Like he can score when he needs to, but he understands that it's better for the team for him to keep everybody involved and like be the true point guard a little bit. He's awesome. And,
I do hope they make the finals. That'd be awesome. When was the last time the Hawks were in the finals?
I mean, I'm still
Eastern
rooting
Conference
for the
Finals.
Sixers just 'cause if
Yeah.
Embiid's healthy, like that's who I want to get there.
100. Yeah.
And I want to see Nets. I want to see the Nets and the Sixers. Like I think that would be a fun as hell Eastern Conference Finals. But if Embiid's out, the Hawks have a very good chance. Speaking of the Eastern Conference Finals, one of the teams in the Eastern Conference Finals will come from the only round 2 matchup that we know for sure is happening. Nets Bucks. Both of those teams took care of business in the first round. The Bucks just destroyed the Heat. Just ruined them.
Extinguished them.
Swept them, and then the Nets, basically did the same thing for the Celtics. Save a 50-point game from Jason Tatum that extended the series 1 game. The Nets had no trouble with the Celtics.
I got a notification through Google or whatever today, and it's obviously an outdate. It's an old, it's a couple days late, if not a week or so. And the headline was like, without Kemba, the Celtics are going to have a hard time beating the Nets. Like, I don't think that's the only reason, guys. I'm just going to go out and say it. Like, it's going to take way more than Kemba being at 100%. We already talked about that earlier, but it's just fucking true.
Yeah.
It was never going to be, they were never going to challenge the Nets. It was fun to see those guys play in 5 straight games together. Kind of starting to see what that team looks like, and it's just an offensive juggernaut.
I mean, what do you do? Like, that's a huge issue for a lot of teams. It's like, what do you do?
So my question, Worm, is this feels like a dream matchup. I'm very excited about this. Nets Bucks is like very exciting. Game 1 Saturday night, 6:30, TNT.
Hell yeah.
My question is, who do you put Drew on? Does Drew guard Harden, or does he guard Kyrie?
Probably Harden. I kind of think if you're gonna pick, let Kyrie shoot. Let Kyrie take over the game. Stop James Harden and Kevin Durant. Like if you're gonna have to pick one, like there's obviously no good choice. I mean, you have James Harden at the point, and then surrounding him, Kyrie, Kevin Durant, Joe Harris, and then whoever you fifth, Blake Griffin or Bruce Brown. Like you're screwed. Who are you helping off of? And I think you have to just help off of Kyrie, and just let him cook and live and die by Kyrie.
Yeah, it feels like you have to pick who your second poison is, basically, because Durant is gonna get his period.
Cheat code.
Yeah,
His numbers are ridiculous.
He's just I heard Simmons and Russillo talking about this, but it feels like Durant, the way he's played this year when he's been healthy and the way he's playing now, like if you're going to have that conversation of who's the best basketball player in the world right now, like he's still in that conversation big time.
Absolutely.
You can't stop him.
And also he can affect the game defensively when he's engaged, and he's a really good defender, especially as a help defender because he's so long.
Fast hands. Like
he's ridiculous. So you're going to give, like, Durant's going to get his 30.
with his step backs or anybody.
30, 35, and like you're fine with that. Because I think Giannis is going to get 40 because they don't guard. The Nets don't guard anybody. So I think both teams are okay with like living with like Durant, you have your 40, and Giannis is going to take your 40, and then we're going to like play it from there. And I think
call that
Harden
chalk.
is the guy. I go back and forth because Harden has not been as clutch as Kyrie in his career, right? Harden infamously has not been good in the playoffs throughout his kind of career, especially in big games. Kyrie made maybe one of the biggest shots of all time.
Try of all time.
And part of me thinks like you should let Harden like implode on himself, but at the same time, like I'm with you. Like if I have to pick my poison, I'd rather like roll with the guy who seems to always be in his own head and
on the flat Earth,
just
talking about fucking
I don't know,
aliens.
I feel like I can get to Kyrie, and then I feel like I'd rather take my chances with him being the next scoring threat as opposed to Harden, who I know can get 60 if he needs to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They're just so unsolvable. Like it feels like the way you're gonna have to beat that team is to just outscore them. Because I don't.
That's it. You can't turn over the ball. You have to slow down the game, and then you have to outscore them because there's not much more than you can do. They just score in bunches. I swear, like you could be within 4 points, and 40 seconds later they'll be up, 16.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way they score in bunches.
It's wild. And then like it seems like KD just scores at will. It's like I think most of the time it's like KD lets other people score because he just kind of was like, all right, we got to make this competitive. But he has the ball, he just have to step it back, put it in. It's like, how do you stop that? You fucking don't.
Just like he might be one of the most like, and when I say efficient, I don't mean like in the sense of like looking at his raw numbers of like shots taken, shots made, but like when he's scoring the basketball, it looks so goddamn easy. Like the ball, he's so long, he's so like much above everyone else. It's so smooth. Like the whole thing is so smooth. Like it's so easy for that guy.
Yeah.
He's incredible.
He knows that no one's gonna block his shot. So it's just the ability to have that confidence when you rise up and shoot, to not even worry about how close the guy is just incredible.
And it's not a false confidence, though. It's just like, that's the existence of Kevin Durant, is like, really nobody can block my shot, so I'm just going to score kind of when I feel like it.
Right. And
it's crazy.
We were talking about playoff pressure for Harden, and how he has, historically maybe underperformed in the playoffs.
It's been Harden for him.
Giannis is the same. Giannis is in a position where the last few years they've been the best team in the East. He's been the MVP, and they've been disappointing in the playoffs. And
they can't handle the heat of the playoff well, they did, but he can't handle the defense that shapes up in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean they start calling the game differently. They let it be a little more physical. Just doesn't shoot the ball very well, and he doesn't shoot free throws very well. If he was a good free throw shooter, like it wouldn't be as big of an issue. But I think that there is a legitimate chance if he doesn't make free throws, like you're gonna see. We did see Hack to Simmons. We saw them, the Wizards in Game 5 Game 4 employ basically Hack Ben Simmons. Send him to the line because he's shooting less than 50% in the series from the free throw line.
Oh God.
He was bad. It was like 0 for 9.
Oh,
but Giannis,
Ben,
Giannis
man.
might get that treatment. I wouldn't be shocked.
If it works, it works. It's annoying, but it works.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm very intrigued by that series.
Yes, I'm curious to know if they're just gonna try to plug the lane, because he's like 1 for 16 from 3.
Yeah, that's what I would
6%.
I would just say I'm gonna be interested to see how much DeAndre Jordan plays in this series, because Lopez can pull him out away from the basket, which is his only real purpose to be in the game at all, is if he's going to be a rim protector and rebounder. So if Lopez is going to pull him out, I don't know that they're going to play him that much, but that means they're going to have to play small, and they're not going to have much rim protection to hold down there with Giannis.
Does the Great Wall of Giannis still work?
I mean, that's what people do.
Does it still work?
Kind of. He's 1 for 16 from 3 this playoff, so he's going to have to shoot the ball better for them to win this series, because I just think that the Nets' firepower is too much for him to win without him, shooting the ball well. But it's a very exciting series that I'm pretty pumped for.
Let's hope
Me
so.
too. The Bucks have the guys to be able to do this with Drew and Middleton, so it's going to be interesting to see how
I think
their defense holds up.
The Bucks are really good, and I think the way that they came out the way they came out and actually like kind of
Beat the Heat.
yeah, just like exercised that demon, if you will, of what happened last year. Like it felt like a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So, anything else from the playoffs that you want to touch on before we move on out of NBA playoff talk? Worm, anything else to add?
No, nothing off the top of my head. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, we're gonna actually like run through the rest of the pod, and you can hang out if you want, or.
To be honest, I'm ready to end because I'm starving. We have other segments, but honestly,
wrap it
I'm
up.
I'm pretty hungry.
All right.
I'm just not gonna lie.
We're gonna. All right. Well, I'm cool with that. We can wrap up. We probably ran like fairly long with
75 minutes right now.
We are hour 15. We're golden. So thank you guys for tuning in to Hine Outside. We will be back next week with more of the NBA playoffs, more of everything that we can, women's college World Series, all that stuff. So we will talk to y'all next week. Have a good weekend.
See you, Josh.
Thanks, guys. See you.